Hi, welcome to the Shepherd Podcast. I'm your host. I'm Pastor Chris. Thank you for joining me. The podcast is a way to acquaint you with people at Shepherd of the Hills, our church, school, and child care. We've got a lot of great people here, and I like for you to get to know them better. Today is a person I'm very happy to introduce you to. You might know his wife pretty well. Her name is Lauren White. She's our Director of Christian Education. Her husband is Dylan, and Dylan also has some important roles here at Shepherd. And so I want to help you get to know him better, and he can tell you about some of the things he's doing, in particular with our school and our child care. And so now I am pleased to welcome to the podcast Dylan White. Dylan, welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Now, I mentioned that you do some things with the school, so can you tell us about your involvement with the school and the child care?
Yes. So I do 6th, 7th, and 8th drama, both the class and the club. So the class happens the last period of the day where they just learn different techniques and whatnots. And then the club afterwards is where we do the shows themselves, our one act, and any other public events that we do. Beyond that, I've also recently taken on the role of K through 2nd Spanish, helping them learn some of that stuff. And then also I help out with after school care for the middle school, any days that I don't have to be at drama after school.
Okay, well that sounds like a worker in a Lutheran school wearing multiple hats.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, great. So you've got some drama going on, some Spanish, some after-school care. You got a few things happening. Let's start with the drama part. Now, you have a background in theater?
Yes, I had gotten my teaching degree over at Concordia in Nebraska, Seward, Nebraska, specifically for psychology in theater, more of just using the theater aspect of it now. I've been a part of theater since middle school. High school, middle school, to this day, doing my best at it.
Yeah. So in my family, we have some theater as well. My sister has a theater degree. She studied both theology and theater at Concordia University, Irvine. And growing up, she always had her plays that she was in. And so that was always a part of my family, too, was having theater activity. So I get that. What got you interested in theater? What do you enjoy about it?
I have just enjoyed the storytelling aspect of it. Okay. I had originally seen, some plays when I was in elementary, middle school. The high schoolers would perform it. We did it to a K through 12 high school, so we got to see everything. And I was just seeing, and I just thought that looks like fun. I want to figure out how to get into that, and history from there.
What were some of your favorite plays you were a part of?
So my favorite one in high school was called The 7 Wives of Dracula, just a spoof on the whole Dracula thing, whole Dracula story, making it more comedic. We did a set of 5 Shakespearean plays in college, which is probably my favorite cast and crew, favorite play I've ever been in. Just a whole bunch of us playing different roles on a more comedic side of each of the Shakespeare plays. I've mostly just done comedic stuff before.
Okay, so you like it when there's some humor.
Yes, have a good sense of humor, I would like to say.
Yeah? Great. I can't imagine what the Dracula one was about. That just intrigues me. What was the title again?
The 7 Wives of Dracula.
So does he have all 7 wives at one time?
Yes, he does. It's more of just it's more for the comedic aspect, because throughout all of, Dracula's history, he's had several different wives, several different suitors. And instead of just choosing one, this play decided to go with, 7 for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy, but he seems like he'd be hard to be married to. But
yeah, something.
The 7 wives. Okay.
Sleeping all day, not working at all.
Right. Okay, so those are some things you've been a part of, and then you bring that experience here to our school with our theater program. Now, over the past few years, the program's been built up. Chloe Cunningham took it and really developed it into a big program. Then she took a teaching job elsewhere. So you stepped into that. Kind of what did you inherit? What did you take on? What have you added to it? How's that transition been for you?
Yeah, it was one of those things that like it was a week, maybe a week and a half before school that I got a text from Mrs. Gary saying, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" And I, immediately was just like, yes. I would love to do this. I pretty much inherited, a whole bunch of talented kids.
Yeah.
For sure. There's so many that are, here and will still be here next year. I inherited a lot of props and clothing. The closet over here was full of them and stuff like that. And I also, inherited a lot of expectations, being the new drama teacher and seeing how well Miss Cunningham did, right. Having to meet and hopefully exceed those expectations.
Yeah. So what are you guys learning about right now in drama classes? What are you teaching them?
In drama class, we just finished up our tech theater side of stuff. They were working on a tech project where they choose a play or a musical, and essentially I told them, what would you do if you were running this performance? Like if you were running all the technical stuff, what would you do for lights, sound, what kind of costumes, what kind of makeup would you do? What would you want your set to look like? So kind of giving them free reign on that, just more of activating their creative minds of what they personally would like to see done and that kind of stuff. And starting this week, we're going to be working on some improv and miming.
Miming?
Yes. Yeah, pantomiming. So working on more of the actions of everything rather than just our words.
Oh, that sounds great. I was watching, I don't know, maybe a Tom and Jerry cartoon or something, but I was struck by how without words, there used to be a lot of cartoons or shows where they would tell the whole story, but nobody ever said anything. And it's amazing how much of a story you can tell without words.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think that would just challenge them to not just rely on the verbal, but to think, okay, how can I be as expressive as possible to still convey these parts of the story?
Definitely.
Yeah, that'll be a great exercise for them. So that's drama class, and you said that's different than drama club, which happens after school?
Correct. As of right now, we've been meeting over in the portable buildings. We've been practicing on our one act for this year. It's called Voices. It's about a man and a woman who take this unlikely trip up into the mountains during a blizzard to go at a house that they inherited. And it's a story about grief. They both share the same grief of a loss of a child. However, she is taking it a lot harder than he is, to the point that she is starting to hear voices that sort of just like haunt her and her memories.
Why did you pick that one?
So when it comes to like competition and stuff like that for one acts or plays and stuff like that, the dramatic stuff, like the more serious stuff, usually gets ranked higher than the other comedic stuff. So that's kind of why I went that direction. And then when I was looking at a whole bunch of approved plays, I had sort of wrote down a list, and then I watched videos on their performances and stuff like that. And that one, I, took one look at it and I was like, I think we could do really well with the kids that we have. I think that a lot of them will be able to fit these roles very well. And I just thought it was the best pick for us.
So when you're picking a play, you're thinking about who you have to work with, and you're envisioning how they might fit into the role. So there might be another play that's really a great play, but it doesn't seem to be a fit for your cast.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And is that how you usually determine what play you're going to do? You watch a performance of it versus reading the script?
Yeah, usually, because depending on the script, you may not be able to get the whole thing. you may only be able to get like a small little sample of it, because most scripts, they cost money to do, and there's royalties involved in ordering and producing shows. So there's a huge money side of it. So you pretty much just take what you can get.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that narrows it down for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say that I'm a parent of children who are of age to be in the drama club, and I'm wondering, okay, out of all the different options for what my kids can do for extracurricular, why would we want to do drama club? What do kids get out of it?
They get what I, assume that they get is a group that they can be with that shares the same interests as them, whether they're, actors, actresses, or just want to be part of the technical crew. They have a shared love for this type of art. They're around other people just like them, and honestly, when it comes to theater, all parts of the show shine, because if you're missing one of the things, then it just doesn't work out very well. It's definitely a team sport. There's no, standout person from everyone else. Everyone is treated and, viewed as equals.
Really? Even if you have like a really great actor or actress, you're able to still kind of level it out and make sure everybody feels like equals?
Yeah. Everybody has their own talents, like pretty much with anything, like basketball, football. Everybody has their own talents. And it's up to me as the director to have all of those talents used to their full potential. So
how do you do that? How do you keep someone from getting a big ego? Like, everybody knows that they're super talented at it, and maybe they have the star role. How do you help everybody who's a part of the team to feel like they're just as important as the star? How do you prevent that person from getting a big ego, and how do you raise everybody else's sense of importance? What are some things you do?
By finding the right challenge for them.
Okay.
For someone that's like, they're huge, they got the huge ego thinking that they can do any role, give them the role that's the most challenging.
Okay.
And to someone that, they're not entirely sure, give them a role that's good for starting out that they can easily master.
Yeah.
So, the whole idea of making them jack of all trades, that they can do the thing that is given to them well, and maybe eventually master that in the end.
So you want to build their confidence.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, that's good. So it sounds like you do a lot of matchmaking between the person and the role.
Yes.
And you probably have to put a lot of thought into it, because you have so many roles, you have so many cast members, and you've got to probably sit down and decide who's going to do what, and you can't have two people doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you have to be a decision maker.
It's definitely a huge decision making. Yeah. Casting the parts, choosing who you want for the crew spots, lights and sounds and whatnot, what people are going to be good at and responsible enough to handle those roles.
Yeah. How do you help people deal with disappointment if they didn't get the role that they wanted or felt that they deserved?
I kind of, make whatever I give them, just let them know how important that part is. I know that some people, they would have wanted the main role or, something along those lines, but they didn't get it. So just, making sure that they know that what they're doing is just as important as that main role. Because this is a whole team thing. It's not about being the best actor, best actress. It's, about working together to make the production perfect. Because having one person be good at their, at their role and everyone else not being good, that doesn't win the whole competition.
Right.
But if everybody is doing their job and they do their job perfectly, then that leads to first place at districts so that we can go to state and so on and so forth.
Use the word perfect a couple times. It sounds like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that has heard the term stage fright, it comes from theater. You're on the stage and there's so much pressure because there's so many eyes looking at you.
Right.
So I like to use the word perfect as a standard because everybody messes up. But if you strive for, perfection, there's no further up. You've gotten it at that point.
Yeah, set the bar high, right?
Yes, you set the bar high, set the expectations high, and we can, sort of not exactly like guarantee first, but we can surely be in the running for it.
Sure. How have you helped students deal with stage fright? Have you encountered that where they get in front of everybody and they just panic or they get scared?
So the issue is we haven't had something like that yet.
Okay.
Because we've pretty much just been in the portable, so we don't have very many people. We have just, the other crew and maybe some parents watching. So it's not very big compared to an entire auditorium, because I have some sixth graders who are doing this for the first time, and I can imagine it being them being very nervous about this,
right? And
so what I plan on doing and helping them is when we go to districts, we get to actually we get to practice on the stage beforehand. So then they can sort of get a feel for it.
Yeah, envision it. Yeah.
So hopefully something like that will help. But when it comes to stage fright, the best way of, getting rid of it is just repetition, just doing it over and over and over. And eventually that fear is gone.
Yeah.
Because, what's the worst thing that the audience will do to you? They will just stare.
They probably won't throw things at you.
No,
not
at a middle school competition for sure. They won't throw anything at you. The worst that they will do is just stare with a blank face. That is the absolute worst thing that they'll do. They're not going to throw tomatoes at you. Right. It's not like in the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing for them to be nervous about. But I understand, being someone who used to have stage fright, that it can happen.
So how did you overcome your stage fright?
For the most part, I still have it.
Yeah.
I know, for example, like my first day teaching here, I was very nervous the entire time, just talking in front of a whole bunch of students that I kind of knew because I had had them last year through subbing and whatnot, or after school care, but some of them I didn't know. So it's one of those things, just getting over the nerves, just doing it over and over and over again. Because now I can just, talk in front of them, be me. And I don't have to worry about them throwing tomatoes at me or pencils in their case.
Right. So be yourself.
Exactly.
And be confident in who you are. Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about theater because I think it's very interesting, and I know you bring a lot to the table there. Also, you're teaching Spanish. Can you tell us about that? Are you fluent in Spanish?
No.
No?
I'm learning kind of alongside a lot of them. Yeah. I know some stuff that I learn in high school and just overhearing and whatnot. Yeah. I had been asked right before Christmas break if I would be willing to do this, and I said, sure, why not? Yeah. But it's just a lot of, just introducing it to them, because I know a lot of them, it's a lot of just like throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. Yeah. I want to make sure that they succeed in this, because there's a lot of people, that speak Spanish or maybe even only speak Spanish. So being able to communicate with them is very important. So having our kids learn this, I think, is very important.
One thing I found too, I did a fair amount of Spanish in college. I don't remember a lot of it, some of it. And then I did biblical languages too. When you study another language, it helps you understand English better too, by having something to compare to. You understand the parts of speech and things like that. So there's definitely, I think, a lot of value you also understand cultures better when you
Yeah.
study their language. So that's great. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit. I want to hear more about your upbringing. Where are you from? What was life like growing up for you?
Gotcha. Yeah, so I was born and raised in, middle of Nebraska, Lexington, Nebraska. It's right along I-80.
Okay.
It's about 2.5 hours west from Lincoln.
Okay.
It's probably the biggest landmark that people would know. I have, I guess, two families, I should say. My parents got divorced when I was very young, and then they remarried, so I essentially grew up knowing that back and forth between the two families. So on one side, I have a stepbrother and a half-sister, and the other side, I have two half-sisters.
Okay.
I had went to the same K through 12 high school, from K to 12. I had gone to two different churches. One of them was an LCMS church with my dad, and the other one was an ELCA church with my mom.
Okay.
So I had gotten to see both of those sides of the two different kinds of churches. From there, after college, I had decided I wanted to go to Concordia University in Nebraska to, at first, become a physical therapist, but then realizing that I wanted to become a teacher from there.
Okay. How did you and Lauren meet?
We had met at college. We shared a friend group, sort of. Essentially, some of the people that I made friends with were also friends with her, so it's kind of like a mutual friends thing. And it was just one of those things that we had met, we had talked and whatnots. Halfway through freshman year, decided, hey, why don't we give this a shot?
Mm-hmm.
And then went through college, got married right after graduation, and then moved to Iowa for her first job, or her internship for her DCE.
Right.
And then from there, she got called here.
Right, yeah. What did you do for that year in Iowa?
So I still had to do one more semester at college.
Okay.
But then after that, I had done a little bit of work for the post office, and then I was a night shift security guard for Securitas. And then after that, just came here.
Any interesting experiences as a security guard?
It's not as hard as people make it out to be as a night shift, but it may just be because as a night shift security guard, there wasn't much to do other than make sure that the doors were locked and then just sit and watch videos.
You ever see any action?
No, there's never really any action. It's just a whole bunch of people that were tired and ready to go back to sleep.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then when you guys interviewed here, boy, how long has that been now?
Oh, it's been almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years, because you guys were coming in as the building was about to go down?
Yes. The service that we were here for was when we did the service where everybody was out by the old building, and I think the first brick was taken or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. We were there. We saw the building, and it was gone by the time we moved down here. It was not very long at all. Yeah.
The weekend you guys came to interview was the decommissioning of the old building and the groundbreaking for the new building.
Yes, that's
which will tell you how long this has been. I mean, we've been working on that building for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting. That's perfect that you guys were there at that time, because that was a very historic moment for us.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it about Shepherd that made you guys want to come here?
I guess we have always wanted to find a church that, acted friendly and stuff like that towards people, or at least were friendly, because we didn't exactly have the best time in Iowa. We had a lot of issues and hardships and whatnots, and just something felt right coming down here. I had always told her that I wanted to go up north because I prefer the cold, and she wanted to move down south because she prefers the warmth, and I guess she won.
Usually works that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how
good.
it always works.
I'm glad she won because you guys are here.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, hopefully it's a win for both of you.
Yes.
Yeah. What are your long-term plans for yourself in terms of career?
I would like to go full-time teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked with the school in the past about options involving that. I would like to continue doing the drama department here, building it. I know we haven't had as much stuff this year, but with the new building, hopefully we'll have more space and be able to do some more stuff with drama.
Sure. Great. What do you do for fun?
I like to, be around other people for the most part. On Sundays after church, we have this young adults group.
Right.
We're a lot of 20s, 30s, people from the church. We all meet at my place, and we kind of just hang around, talk. We play games. We have a Bible study that we do together. Yesterday, we had decided that we were going to go bowling. Lauren and I weren't able to make it because we still had a little bit of quarantine that we had to do, and Olivia, our daughter, wasn't entirely feeling like going out. She was kind of in a mood.
She was in a mood. That happens. Yeah.
So we decided to stay home, but we do plan on doing a lot of stuff. We've done stuff in the past, like we've gone out for not bingo, sorry. It was trivia. We had gone to trivia at the Flying Saucer. We, last year, had met to watch the Super Bowl together. We may do that again this year. We haven't quite talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if someone would like to get involved in the group, they can contact the church office and we can get them in touch with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Last thing I want to ask is just about you personally and your faith. How has your faith helped you in your life?
So my faith has, helped me a lot. Being around, the positivity of, the faith and the faithful has helped me personally remain positive through a lot of stuff and a lot of times. Knowing that, that all of this, exists, it definitely helps a lot, during the hard times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having this conversation today, and thank you for all that you're doing in our school, especially taking the theater ministry, which is important for our school, that program, and looking forward to all that you're going to add to it, as well as the other hats that you're wearing.
Yeah.
And just appreciate what you do to take care of the kids.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Shepherd Podcast. You got to know Dylan a little bit better. Please join us next time as we continue to introduce you to people here at Shepherd that I think you might like to get to know better. Until then, the Lord's blessings to you. May He keep you healthy and safe and strong. The peace of the Lord be with you today.